In a charming coastal town, where the salty breeze danced with the scent of blooming jasmine, Clara found herself at the threshold of a new beginning. The soft hum of the ocean waves provided a soothing backdrop as she stood in front of her new home, a quaint cottage with peeling blue paint and a garden that seemed to burst with wildflowers. It was a palette of colors that mirrored her tumultuous heart, vibrant yet overshadowed by the shadows of her past. Having recently emerged from the wreckage of a disheartening relationship, Clara sought solace in this picturesque town, hoping to reignite the passion for her art that had flickered dimly during her previous entanglement. Inside, the cottage was filled with the aroma of fresh paint, mingling with the earthy scent of wood. Clara took a deep breath, allowing the air to fill her lungs as she stepped into her new sanctuary. The large windows framed the view of the setting sun, casting a golden glow across the room, illuminating the canvases she had brought along, each a fragment of her soul, waiting for the right inspiration to breathe life into them. With every brushstroke, Clara felt the weight of her heart lighten. She poured her emotions into her work, letting the colors swirl and blend, creating landscapes that reflected her hopes and dreams. Yet, there was an unshakable sense of loneliness that clung to her like a shadow. The laughter of children playing outside and the chatter of neighbors drifting through the open windows only served to emphasize her isolation. She longed for connection, for someone to share the beauty of this new chapter with. As the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in hues of pink and orange, Clara felt a stirring within her, a flicker of excitement mixed with trepidation. Little did she know, just a few streets down, another soul was wrestling with his own shadows. Lucas stood on the balcony of his modest apartment, overlooking the same beach that Clara had come to love. The salty air tousled his dark hair, but he felt none of the joy that it should have brought. It had been months since he lost his dance partner in a tragic accident, and each day felt like a battle against the tide of sorrow that threatened to pull him under. Dance had been his life, his passion. But after her passing, the rhythm had faded into a haunting silence. The joy of movement had turned into a painful reminder of what he had lost, and he found himself trapped in a cycle of mourning, unable to break free. In the evenings, he would watch the sunset from his balcony, a ritual that once filled him with inspiration. Now it only deepened the ache in his chest. The vibrant colors seemed to mock him, reminding him of the joy that had once filled his life. He missed the laughter, the shared dreams, and the exhilarating rush of performing on stage. But most of all, he missed her, the light that had guided him through his darkest moments. As fate would have it, a local arts festival was on the horizon, bringing the community together in celebration of creativity and expression. Clara, eager to immerse herself in the town and its people, decided to participate. She signed up for a dance presentation, despite her lack of experience in that form of art. The thought of stepping outside her comfort zone both frightened and excited her. Perhaps this would be the catalyst she needed to connect with others, to feel a sense of belonging. With her heart racing, Clara attended the first rehearsal at the community center. The room was filled with a cacophony of laughter and chatter, a stark contrast to the serene solitude she had grown accustomed to. As she entered, her eyes scanned the space, landing on a group of dancers rehearsing a lively piece. Their movements were fluid and expressive, each one radiating joy and passion. Clara felt a pang of envy. She had once danced with abandon, but now she felt like an outsider looking in. When Lucas arrived, he was immediately drawn to the energy in the room. The laughter, the music, and the rhythm of bodies in motion filled him with a sense of nostalgia. He had come to support a friend, but the moment he stepped inside, he felt a pull towards the stage. The sight of the dancers brought back a flood of memories. the thrill of performing, the camaraderie, and the warmth of connection. But as he watched, a familiar shadow crept into his heart, reminding him of what he had lost. It was in that moment, as Clara stood timidly at the edge of the room, that their eyes met for the first time. There was an electric charge in the air, a silent acknowledgement of their shared solitude. Lucas, still grappling with his own demons, felt an unexpected urge to approach her. Yet, fear held him back. What could he offer her when he felt so broken himself? Clara, on the other hand, felt a stirring of hope. There was something in his gaze that resonated with her, a depth of feeling that mirrored her own struggles. Their first interaction was brief, yet it lingered in the air like the scent of the ocean. A simple exchange of words, a hesitant smile, but it was enough to send shivers down Clara's spine. She could feel the warmth radiating from him, and for a moment, the world around her faded away. But just as quickly as it began, the moment slipped through her fingers, leaving her feeling more vulnerable than ever. As the rehearsals progressed, Clara found herself drawn to Lucas. His presence was magnetic, and she admired the way he moved, his body telling stories that words could never convey. With each passing day, she felt a connection blossoming between them, yet there was an unspoken tension that hung in the air. Lucas was guarded, his eyes often clouded with a sadness that Clara longed to understand. She wanted to reach out, to draw him out of his shell, but she was also acutely aware of the walls he had built around himself. One evening, as twilight descended upon the town, Clara decided to take a stroll along the beach. The waves lapped gently at her feet, and the soft glow of the moonlight cast a silver sheen over the water. It was a moment of peace, a precious reprieve from the chaos of her thoughts. As she walked, she couldn't shake the feeling that she was being watched. Turning, she caught sight of Lucas standing a few paces behind her, his silhouette framed by the shimmering ocean. "Hey," he said, his voice barely above a whisper, as if afraid to disturb the serenity of the night. "Hi," Clara replied, her heart racing. The air between them crackled with unspoken words and shared emotions. They walked side by side, the sound of their footsteps mingling with the rhythmic crashing of the waves. Clara stole glances at Lucas, her curiosity piqued. His expression was contemplative, as if he were lost in his thoughts. The silence felt heavy, yet it was comforting in a way. She sensed that they were both searching for something, a way to connect, to heal. "I saw you dance today," Clara began tentatively, breaking the silence. "You have a beautiful way of expressing yourself." Lucas looked at her, surprise flickering across his face. "Thank you. It's been a while since I felt anything." His admission hung in the air, and Clara felt a pang of empathy. Dance is such a powerful form of expression. It can help you process your emotions, even the painful ones. Lucas nodded, his gaze drifting back to the ocean. "It used to be everything for me, but now it's hard to find the motivation to move. Maybe you just need a reason," Clara suggested gently. "Sometimes sharing it with someone else can reignite that spark." He turned to her, and Clara could see the flicker of hope in his eyes, quickly overshadowed by doubt. What if I can't? What if I fail? Her heart ached for him. What if you don't? What if you find joy in it again? The moonlight illuminated his face, revealing the depth of his turmoil. Clara took a deep breath, feeling the connection between them deepen. They stood there, two souls intertwined in their struggles, both yearning for a way out of the darkness. The moment was fragile, and Clara could sense the weight of unspoken words lingering in the air. She wanted to reach out, to take his hand, and assure him that everything would be okay, but the fear of overstepping boundaries held her back. Instead, they continued to walk along the shore, the waves crashing rhythmically as they moved in sync with one another. As they approached a small bonfire lit by a group of friends nearby, Clara felt a warmth spread through her. The laughter and music created an inviting atmosphere, and she could see people dancing and celebrating life. It was a reminder of what they both had lost: the joy of connection, the passion for art, and the beauty of living in the moment. "Want to join them?" Clara asked, glancing at Lucas with a hopeful smile. He hesitated, his brow furrowing, as he watched the dancers twirl and spin. "I'm not sure if I can. I don't know if I want to. Just give it a try." "You might surprise yourself," she encouraged, her voice soft yet filled with conviction. With a deep breath, Lucas took a step forward, his heart racing as he felt the pull of the music. Clara followed closely behind, her pulse quickening in anticipation. As they approached the bonfire, the energy in the air shifted, and for a brief moment, the weight of their worries lifted. They joined the group, and Clara felt the warmth of the flames on her skin, mingling with the excitement bubbling within her. Lucas stood slightly apart, watching the dancers with a mix of longing and trepidation. Clara felt a surge of determination. She wanted him to feel the joy of movement once more, to let the music wash over him like a gentle tide. "Come dance with me," she said, her eyes sparkling with encouragement. Lucas opened his mouth to protest, but something in her gaze silenced him. With a tentative nod, he moved closer, and as Clara took his hand, she felt a spark of connection that sent shivers down her spine. The music pulsed through the air, and for the first time in what felt like an eternity, Lucas allowed himself to be swept away by the rhythm. The moment they began to move, Clara felt a rush of exhilaration. She led him into the dance, their bodies swaying together, and for a fleeting instant, the pain that had held him captive began to dissolve. Clara could see the tension in his shoulders ease as he surrendered to the music. The beat resonated within him, awakening a part of his soul that had been dormant for far too long. As they danced, Clara felt the warmth of their connection deepen. It was as if their bodies were speaking a language that transcended words, allowing them to share their vulnerabilities and fears. She could see the flicker of joy in Lucas's eyes, and it fueled her own spirit. In that moment, they were two lost souls finding their way back to the light. But just as the dance reached its climax, a flicker of doubt crossed Lucas's expression. He stepped back, breaking the connection between them. "I can't do this," he murmured, the shadows of his past returning to cloud his features. Clara's heart sank as she watched him retreat, the warmth of their moments slipping away like sand through her fingers. "Lucas, wait," she called. But he was already turning away, the weight of his fears pulling him back into the darkness. As the laughter and music faded into the background, Clara felt a pang of frustration and sadness. She had wanted to reach him, to show him that life could be beautiful again, but the walls he had built around his heart were formidable. Yet, even in her disappointment, Clara couldn't shake the feeling that there was hope, if only he could see it. That night, as she returned to her cottage, Clara couldn't help but replay the dance in her mind. The connection they had shared felt like a tender thread, fragile yet resilient. She resolved to find a way to reach Lucas, to help him rediscover the joy that had once filled his life. The journey ahead wouldn't be easy, but she was determined to try. Clara stood by her window, gazing out at the starlit sky, feeling a sense of purpose. The moon hung high, casting a silvery glow over the town, and she knew that tomorrow would bring new opportunities for both of them. With that thought, she closed her eyes, allowing the promise of a new day to wash over her, like the gentle waves of the ocean, whispering of hope, healing, and the magic of love waiting to unfold. The following day dawned with a gentle warmth, the sun casting its golden rays over the coastal town of Almaris. Clara awoke with a renewed sense of purpose, the lingering memories of the previous night's dance igniting a fire within her. She stretched, feeling the soft cotton of her sheets against her skin, and looked out the window where the sea sparkled like 1,000 diamonds beneath the morning light. The air was filled with the scent of salt and blooming jasmine, a reminder that beauty could be found in the most unexpected places. As she prepared her breakfast, Clara's mind was consumed with thoughts of Lucas. She wondered how he was feeling after their brief encounter, and whether he had been able to shake off the shadows of his past. She couldn't ignore the way his eyes had held so much pain, yet also a flicker of something else, curiosity perhaps, or a longing for connection. Clara felt an undeniable urge to reach out to him, to show him that the world was still vibrant and full of life, despite the heartaches they both carried. After breakfast, Clara decided to take a walk along the beach, hoping that the rhythmic sound of the waves would inspire her art. The sand beneath her feet felt soft and warm, and she let the cool breeze sweep through her hair. She found a secluded spot near the water and set up her easel, determined to capture the essence of the sea on canvas. As she painted, she poured her emotions into each brush stroke, channeling her hopes and fears into the colors that danced across the canvas. While Clara was lost in her creative world, Lucas was wrestling with his own thoughts. He had spent the morning in his small, dimly lit apartment, surrounded by the remnants of his past, photos of him and his late dance partner, their smiles frozen in time. Each image felt like a dagger in his heart, reminding him of the joy that had once filled his life, now replaced by an overwhelming sense of loss. He longed to dance again, to feel the music coursing through his veins, but the fear of vulnerability held him captive. As the sun climbed higher in the sky, Lucas finally decided to step out for some fresh air. Compelled by an inexplicable force, he wandered toward the beach, a place he hadn't visited in ages. The salty breeze embraced him, and he closed his eyes for a moment, allowing the sound of the crashing waves to wash over him. But as he walked along the shore, his thoughts drifted back to Clara. He couldn't shake the feeling that their connection during the dance was something special, something worth exploring despite the fear that gripped him. As fate would have it, Clara had been painting for a while when she noticed a familiar figure walking along the shoreline. Her heart skipped a beat as she recognized Lucas, his tall frame silhouetted against the sun. She hesitated for a moment, unsure if she should approach him. Her mind raced with possibilities. What if he didn't want to see her? What if he had already decided to push her out of his life? But the warmth of the sun and the gentle rustle of the wind urged her forward. "Lucas!" she called out, her voice carried by the breeze. He turned, surprise flickering across his face as he met her gaze. For a moment, time seemed to stand still. The world around them faded, and all that existed was the space between them, charged with unspoken words and emotions. Clara felt her heart race as he walked toward her, each step filled with a mixture of hope and trepidation. "Clara?" he replied, a hint of a smile breaking through his usually solemn demeanor. "What a coincidence to find you here." "I was just painting," she said, motioning to her easel. "It's such a beautiful day, and I wanted to capture the sea." Lucas glanced at the canvas, his eyes widening slightly as he took in the vibrant colors and dynamic brushstrokes. "It's beautiful," he said, sincerity evident in his voice. "You have a real gift." Clara felt warmth spread through her at his compliment, but she could also sense the hesitation lingering in the air. "Thank you. I was hoping to find some inspiration," she said, her voice softening. "But I have a feeling that I've found something even more inspiring." He looked at her, and for a moment, the weight of their pasts seemed to dissipate. "I know what you mean," he confessed, his voice barely above a whisper. "I've been stuck in my own routine for so long, but something about our dance, it awakened something in me." Clara took a step closer, her heart racing. "I felt it too, Lucas. There's so much more to life than what we've been through. We can find joy again, together. He shifted his weight, a flicker of uncertainty crossing his face.
I want to believe that, but it's hard. I've lost so much, and I'm afraid of opening up again. Her chest tightened at his words, understanding his struggle. I know it's difficult, she replied gently, but sometimes we have to take risks to find the happiness we deserve. You don't have to do it alone. Lucas looked away, the inner conflict evident in his expression.
Clara could see the war between pride and vulnerability playing out in his eyes. She longed to bridge the gap that separated them, to show him that there was beauty in embracing the unknown. I appreciate your kindness, he said, finally meeting her gaze again. But I'm not sure I'm ready for that. There's so much I still carry with me. Clara reached out, her fingers brushing against his arm. The contact sent a jolt of energy through her, a reminder of the bond they had begun to forge. You don't have to be ready right away, she said softly. Just take one small step. Let me help you rediscover the joy of dancing. We can learn from each other. Lucas studied her for a moment, and Clara could see the flickering hope in his eyes, battling with fear. What if I can't? He asked, vulnerability creeping into his voice. Then we'll figure it out together, she assured him, her heart swelling with determination. Dance isn't just about perfection, it's about expression and connection. Every step, every stumble leads us to something beautiful. After a long pause, he finally nodded, albeit hesitantly. Okay, I'll give it a try. A smile broke across Clara's face, illuminating her features with an infectious warmth. Let's meet tomorrow at the old dance studio by the pier. It's a bit run down, but it has a lot of character. We can start from there. Tomorrow, he echoed, a spark of excitement mingling with apprehension. I'll be there. As they parted ways, Clara felt a sense of anticipation blooming within her. The connection they had shared was fragile, yet powerful, and she was determined to help Lucas find his way back to the joy of dance. With the sun setting behind her, casting a warm glow over the beach, she knew that this was just the beginning of their journey together. That night, Clara sat in her studio, surrounded by the soft glow of candlelight. She painted with fervor, the colors flowing freely as she poured her heart onto the canvas. Each stroke reflected her hopes for Lucas, the desire to see him dance again, to witness the light return to his eyes. The rhythm of her brush mirrored the heartbeat of her emotions, and she lost herself in the process, feeling a sense of peace settle over her. Meanwhile, Lucas was at home, pacing the small confines of his apartment. He couldn't shake the memory of Clara's impassioned words. She had ignited something within him, a spark he thought had long been extinguished. But as he considered their upcoming meeting, a wave of fear washed over him. What if he failed? What if he couldn't dance the way he used to? The thought spiraled, creating a tempest of self-doubt. The night wore on, and while Clara found solace in her art, Lucas wrestled with his insecurities. The world outside his window was alive with the sounds of laughter and music, a stark contrast to the silence that enveloped him. He wanted to break free from the chains of his past, but the fear of repeating his mistakes kept him rooted in place. As the days passed, Clara and Lucas met regularly at the dance studio. With each encounter, Clara felt the walls around Lucas slowly beginning to crumble, piece by piece. He would hesitate at first, his movements stiff and guarded, but as they shared laughter and stories, she could see glimpses of the dancer he once was, the one who had embraced the music with his whole being. Clara encouraged him to explore different styles, pushing him to let go of his inhibitions. They experimented with contemporary dance, letting the music guide their movements, weaving through the space like the ebb and flow of the ocean. Lucas was surprised to discover that despite his fears, he could still feel the rhythm coursing through him. Each time Clara smiled at him, he felt a flicker of hope, that perhaps he could embrace life again, even if it felt daunting. But just as things began to flourish between them, a shadow loomed on the horizon. One evening, while Clara was painting in the studio, Lucas received a text that shattered his newfound resolve. It was a message from his late partner's family, reminding him of the memorial service they were planning for the anniversary of her passing. The weight of the past crashed down on him like a tidal wave, pulling him back into the depths of despair. Clara sensed a change in Lucas during their next meeting. He was quieter, more withdrawn, and his movements lacked the spark they had begun to develop. She watched him struggle, her heart aching for him, wishing she could ease his pain. "Lucas, what's wrong?" she asked gently, concern etched on her face. He looked away, his jaw clenched. "It's nothing," he replied, but Clara could hear the tremor in his voice. "Please, don't shut me out," she urged, stepping closer. "You've shared so much with me. Let me in." Finally, he took a deep breath, his shoulders sagging under the weight of his emotions. "I got a message today about my partner. Her family is planning a memorial service." The words hung in the air like a heavy fog, and Clara felt her heart drop for him. "I'm so sorry, Lucas. That must be incredibly hard." He nodded, his gaze distant. "It's like a reminder that I'm still stuck in that moment. I thought I was moving forward, but now, I don't know." Clara reached for his hand, her fingers intertwining with his, grounding him in that moment. "You are moving forward, Lucas. Healing isn't linear, it's messy and complicated. But you're not alone in this. I'm here for you." Tears glistened in his eyes as he looked at her, vulnerability cracking through the walls he had built. "What if I can't let go? What if I can't be the person I was before?" "Then we'll find a new way together," Clara responded, her voice steady and reassuring. "You're not defined by your past. You have the power to create a new story, one that includes joy and love." In that moment, Lucas felt a flicker of hope igniting within him, battling against the shadows of doubt. Clara's unwavering support was a lifeline, a reminder that he didn't have to face his pain alone. Yet, as the weight of his grief lingered, he knew he had to confront it before he could truly embrace the possibility of a future with her. The days that followed were a delicate dance of emotions. Lucas attended the memorial service, confronting the pain of loss head-on. Clara, respectful of his space, created art in her studio, channeling her feelings into vibrant colors that spoke of love and resilience. She knew that healing was a journey, and she wanted to be there for Lucas every step of the way. The night of the memorial was heavy with emotion, and as Lucas stood before the gathered crowd, he found strength in the memories shared. While tears fell, he also felt the warmth of love surrounding him, a reminder that even in loss, there could still be light. It was a moment of catharsis, a step toward letting go. Upon returning to the studio, Lucas found Clara waiting for him. The air was thick with unsaid words, but as he looked into her eyes, he felt the weight lift just a little. She enveloped him in a warm embrace, and he could feel the love radiating from her, a balm for his aching heart. "I'm proud of you," Clara whispered, pulling back to look into his eyes. "You faced it." He nodded, grateful for her presence. "It's still hard, but I feel lighter. Like maybe I can start to breathe again." "Then let's breathe together," Clara suggested, her eyes sparkling with determination. "Let's dance." In that moment, Lucas knew he was ready to take the next step. With Clara by his side, he felt the courage to confront his fears and embrace the possibility of love. They stepped into the studio, the music filling the air, as they began to move together, each step a testament to their journey, a journey of healing, hope, and the promise of new beginnings. As they danced, the past faded into the background, replaced by the vibrant energy of the present. Their movements intertwined, telling a story of resilience and connection. Clara and Lucas were no longer just two souls carrying their burdens. They were partners, navigating the dance of life together, ready to face whatever came next. As they danced, Clara felt as if she were floating, the rhythm of the music intertwining with the beat of her heart. Each movement was a release, a shedding of the weight she had carried since arriving in this coastal town. She was no longer just an artist seeking inspiration. She was a dancer, a partner, sharing a moment that transcended words. Lucas too was awakening, his body responding to the music in ways he had thought were lost to him forever. Their connection deepened with every pirouette and every gentle sway, as if the universe conspired to weave their souls together through the art they both cherished. But as the final notes of the piece hung in the air, a silence enveloped them. They stood there, breathless, their foreheads almost touching, eyes locked in an unspoken conversation. In that fleeting moment, Clara felt a surge of hope, the kind that ignited a fire within her. Yet, as the music faded, so did the spell, and reality began to creep back in. Lucas took a step back, running a hand through his hair, a gesture that betrayed the conflict brewing inside him. The euphoria of dancing with Clara was quickly overshadowed by the memories of his past, the sweet laughter of his departed partner, the joy of shared performances, and the haunting ache of loss. It was as if the shadows of his grief were pulling him away from this new light, from Clara, who represented both hope and fear. "I can't," he whispered, his voice barely audible, as if uttering the words would make them real. "I can't keep doing this." Clara's heart sank, the warmth of their connection evaporating like mist in the morning sun. "What do you mean?" she asked, a mixture of confusion and hurt lacing her tone. "I mean," he struggled to articulate, "I can't keep dancing with you, feeling this spark. It's not fair to you or to me." "But why?" she pressed, her voice trembling slightly. "You're not alone anymore. We can help each other." His gaze faltered, darting to the floor as if it held the answers he sought. "You don't understand. The more I let you in, the more it hurts. I lost someone who meant the world to me, and I don't know if I can open my heart again." Clara felt a pang of frustration mixed with empathy. She understood his pain, but she also sensed the walls he was building around his heart, like a fortress. "Lucas, I'm not asking you to forget. I'm asking you to remember and to move forward with me. We can create something beautiful together. It doesn't have to be a betrayal." He looked up, their eyes locking once more. There was a vulnerability in his gaze that made her heart ache. "What if I can't? Then we'll take it one step at a time," she said softly, her voice steady despite the storm of emotions swirling within her. "You don't have to rush into anything. Just don't shut me out." Silence hung between them like a fragile thread, teetering on the edge of breaking. Lucas felt the weight of her words, yet he was terrified of the unknown. Each moment spent with Clara was filled with laughter and joy, but it was also a reminder of what he had lost. He had buried himself in the past, in the memories that haunted him, and the idea of stepping into the light felt both exhilarating and terrifying. "I'm scared," he finally admitted, his voice barely above a whisper. "Me too," Clara confessed, her heart racing. "But we can't let fear decide for us. We owe it to ourselves to try." Lucas ran a hand along the back of his neck, the tension palpable. "What if I fail?" "Then we pick ourselves up and try again," she replied, her eyes shining with determination. "That's what dancing is all about, isn't it? Falling and rising again." As the conversation ebbed and flowed, Lucas felt a flicker of hope. Clara was unlike anyone he had met since the accident. She was a light in his darkest moments, a reminder that there was still beauty in the world. But the shadows of his past loomed large, and he wasn't sure if he was ready to face them. The days that followed were a whirlwind of emotions for both Clara and Lucas. They found themselves in a delicate dance of closeness and distance, each encounter charged with unspoken words and lingering glances. Clara focused on her art, pouring her feelings onto the canvas, while Lucas returned to the dance studio, moving through the routines that had once brought him joy. Yet every time they crossed paths, the air crackled with tension. Clara would catch Lucas watching her from afar, his expression a mixture of longing and fear. She could sense his internal struggle, the battle between wanting to reach out and the instinct to withdraw. It was both heartbreaking and exhilarating, and she was determined to bridge the gap between them. One afternoon, while the sun dipped low in the sky, casting a warm golden hue over the town, Clara decided to host a small gathering at her studio. She invited a few local artists and dancers, hoping to create an atmosphere of camaraderie and support. She wanted to include Lucas, believing that the vibrant energy of the gathering might coax him out of his shell. As the guests arrived, the studio filled with laughter and creativity. Clara felt a sense of purpose as she guided her friends in a collaborative art project, their voices mingling with the soft music playing in the background. But her heart raced every time the door creaked open, her eyes searching for Lucas amidst the crowd. Finally, just as she was beginning to lose hope, there he was, standing in the doorway, his figure silhouetted against the light. He was hesitant, scanning the room, but when their eyes met, Clara's heart soared. "Hey!" she greeted him, a smile breaking across her face. "Hey!" he replied, his voice soft but warm. As he stepped inside, Clara felt the atmosphere shift. The lively chatter seemed to fade as her focus narrowed to him. Lucas approached her, his eyes flickering with uncertainty. "I wasn't sure if I should come," he admitted, his fingers nervously fidgeting with the hem of his shirt. "I'm glad you did," Clara replied, her tone sincere. "Come join us. We're just about to start a fun project." He hesitated, but then nodded, allowing her to guide him to the center of the studio. Clara introduced him to the group, and as the conversation flowed, Lucas gradually began to relax. The music played softly, and the energy in the room became infectious. As the night progressed, Clara noticed Lucas slowly coming out of his shell. He engaged in conversations, laughter escaping his lips, and for a moment, the weight of his past seemed to lift. Clara felt a rush of joy seeing him smile, and she couldn't help but think that this was the Lucas she wanted to know, the one unburdened by grief. Later, as the guests began to leave, Clara found herself alone with Lucas, the remnants of the evening hanging in the air, like a warm embrace. "Thank you for inviting me," he said, his voice more confident now. "I had a great time." "I'm glad," she replied, feeling a flutter of hope. "You should come around more often. We could create art together." Lucas searched her eyes, a flicker of something unnameable passing between them. "I'd like that." Just as the words left his lips, the atmosphere shifted again. Clara's heart raced as she sensed the tension building between them, a pull that was both exhilarating and terrifying. "Lucas," she began, her voice barely above a whisper. But before she could finish, he took a step closer, and in that moment, everything around them faded away. The world outside ceased to exist as they stood suspended in time, caught in the gravity of their emotions. "Clara," he murmured, his breath warm against her skin. And then, as if drawn by an invisible force, their lips met in a gentle yet electric kiss. It was soft at first, a tentative exploration of what lay beneath the surface of their feelings. Clara felt the warmth of his body enveloping her, and she melted into the moment, every worry and fear dissipating like mist in the morning sun. As they pulled away, both breathless and wide-eyed, Clara noticed a flicker of vulnerability in Lucas's gaze.
"I didn't mean to." "Neither did I," she interrupted, her heart racing. "But I think we both needed that." He nodded, a shy smile breaking through the remnants of his uncertainty. Yeah, I think we did. In that moment, they both understood that this was just the beginning. The road ahead would be filled with challenges, but they were no longer alone in their journeys.
Together they would navigate the complexities of love, loss, and new beginnings, each step forward a testament to their courage to embrace the unknown. As the stars twinkled outside, Clara felt a sense of peace wash over her. She had stepped into the light, and with Lucas by her side, she was ready to dance through whatever came next, hand in hand, heart to heart. And so, as they stood together, lost in each other's eyes, they knew that this was just the beginning of their story, a story woven with the threads of resilience, connection, and the promise of a love that could heal even the deepest wounds.